gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy and very sleepy. So let's do this for July 13th, 2023 for the next hour or so. Let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, it's all about that Tomba. Tomba. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host, the Game Mess Mornings. It's Jan Ochoa, everybody. Jan, how are you doing?
Terrible. In the 3 years we worked in the pandemic, I think this is the first time I've overslept.
Yeah, it's like that's never happened, really. Now, it's never even really come close. Like, you're always up before everyone else. Usually, it's ready to go. Is that like you think it's a sign of something? You need a little like staycation or something? Gotta just take it easy for a day or two.
So I have not set an alarm ever since getting the pup, because the pup will wake up.
Sure. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Today or last night, we had the dog on the bed because my partner came back from a little vacation herself.
Right.
And then I think the dog was just so ecstatic to be reunited that she overslept herself. So I blame Scout. A little
worn out. Yes, I think it's easy to blame Scout. We know who's really responsible here. Yeah. So okay. So you know, we're in it now, though. When you go from asleep to like having to like jump in, like how do you feel? Because normally when that happens, I'm like adrenaline gets me because I'm like, oh my god, I overslept. I gotta go. Is that what are you like wired right now?
Yes, exactly. But a little part of me thinks I think I can do like 4 things before I have to go do the thing I have to do right now.
Of course.
I am grateful though that I didn't have to move my car for street cleaning, because I was like, oh crap. Do I get a parking ticket? No. Okay. No, we're fine.
Is it a parking ticket, or do they tow your car? Because on Ohio State campus, if you left your car out on
your car,
they tow like 100 cars. It's crazy.
Oh man.
Truck drivers.
I think in San Francisco, at least, they make more money off ticketing people than towing.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Yes. Either way, it is a racket for sure. Our rules. Yes. It's nickel and diming us. We're against clean streets here at Giant Bomb. Filthy streets only at GiantBomb.com.
Filthy streets.
All right, let's get into this mess. But before we do, let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings, or find the RSS on GiantBomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Okay, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with FTC moves to appeal this week's Microsoft/Activision Blizzard court decision. Jan, we're such stupid bastards for even thinking that this was going to come to an end. This comes from Jess Howard at GameSpot. Following Microsoft's recent win against the Federal Trade Committee in U.S. federal court, the company may once again be taken to the stand. The Federal Trade Commission has moved to appeal the recent court order ruling not to grant the temporary injunction on Microsoft that the FTC was seeking. As reported by The Verge, the FTC has filed a notice that the committee is appealing Judge Jacqueline Scott Corley's decision. The FTC's full argument against the decision will not be revealed until the appeal is submitted to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. This is not too surprising, just because of the FTC strategy. When we talked about this on Tuesday or Monday, wherever it was, we were saying that the FTC wants to exhaust every possible avenue, because that's their strategy, is to be as much of a nuisance as possible. I was going to say nuisance. That's not the word. Nuisance as possible, because they know like the law is not in their favor in a lot of these instances, but still fundamentally they believe that getting in the way of these things is what they should be doing. And so they're still getting in the way. I don't necessarily think this is going to derail much of what's happening now with the deal. And it sounds like the deal might still be able to close. It's just the FTC is still going to be hovering in the background, buzzing around, trying to be as annoying as possible. And I think that continues to be fine, right?
Yeah. I have a lot of ignorance when it comes to court stuff or legal stuff when it comes to this. And it feels like appealing after a judge had already ruled in favor of Microsoft and Activision. feels like this might be too little too late, or
Yes.
just someone in chat. Oh yeah, Arwolves. It's a roadblock strategy,
It's
right?
exactly what it is.
And say that they're able to delay this, but ultimately they just wind up delaying the inevitable here. Does Microsoft still have to pay out Activision in that sum that reportedly?
Yeah, I mean, they, if something were to happen to cause the deal to not close by July 18th, 5 days away, then yes. But it does not seem like this appeal is going to be able to, because right now there was a temporary injunction, and I think that is up like today. And that was put by Judge Scott Corley, Jacqueline Scott Corley, before the trial that they had, the hearings that they had, because it's like, okay, well, we'll have that in place because we're hearing out whether or not this should be ongoing. That is going to lapse, and then there's not going to be some new temporary injunction in place because they're appealing. That's going to have to take some time. So Microsoft should be able to close, and then the FTC, and so that they wouldn't have to pay that $3 billion fee, likely. And so that's why the FTC's kind of, this is definitely a Hail Mary. It's a little bit like, we can do this, so we're doing this, and that's the strategy. But in terms of real world effect, it seems pretty limited because, for one thing, the deal will be able to close. Now, that doesn't mean the FTC loses its power. We've talked about this before. The FTC can wield its power for an entity that has that has merged together, and then they could break them apart later. Like, they could still do that. But the FTC rarely wins these appeals. That's the big thing that people have been throwing out for weeks now. So it's like, the preliminary injunction was super important because whoever was going to win that was going to have a pretty strong chance of continuing to win. It seems very unlikely that the FTC will be able to pull this out, especially since the appeal would go to the Ninth Circuit and not go to their own court in the FTC, which is what was going to happen in August and probably still will happen. But that won't matter as much because, again, this is what matters now. And the FTC, as much as it could wield its power after stuff is closed, that'll be a lot messier, a lot more difficult. And so, yeah, right now, I think Microsoft's probably still feeling pretty good. In fact, they gave a statement here to GameSpot where they say the facts haven't changed. We're confident the U.S. will remain among the 39 countries where the merger can close. We look forward to reinforcing the strength of our case in court again. So, yeah.
Wow.
Still happening.
It's never going to leave us, Grubb.
I mean, we'll be dealing with the ramifications of the deal for years, no matter what. But it's like, man, this specific part of it, when will we get past it? I was even like skeptical when we first heard about the ruling and the preliminary injunction case, because it's like, they're going to appeal, and here we are. All right, next story is related to this. Microsoft is offering small divestiture. Oh man, I'm not gonna be able to say that word. Divestiture. To help Activision deal close in the UK. This comes from Grace Benfeld at GameSpot. In the wake of Microsoft's victory, for now, over the Federal Trade Commission, it is now looking to renegotiate with the new UK's regulator to move the deal forward. The Competition and Markets Authority previously blocked the merger over concerns about cloud gaming, but both Microsoft and the CMA have stated that they are willing to negotiate. Microsoft's appeal of the CMA's decision is on pause while these discussions take place. A report from CNBC claims that Microsoft has offered a small divestment to address the CMA's concern. No details about the divestment have emerged. Now, a divestment would mean you give up your investment in something, or give up your ownership stake in something. To some degree. So what does a small divestment here mean? I don't know. Do they bring in another company to manage Xbox cloud gaming or something in the UK? They're looking for some creative solution to the UK's CMA's issues. It's weird, but it does sound like that is going to be what's going to end up happening in the UK. Although, again, who knows? Maybe the CMA will soften its position so much that won't be necessary, or maybe they'll take what they can get here. Either way, the UK is going to look pretty funky when it comes to Xbox stuff going forward. So I don't know. What do you think about that?
I mean, Lucy was detailing a lot of that yesterday.
Yes,
and how funky the UK is with this whole thing. Gosh, I'm still trying to think of how the FTC would try and break up the giant company that will be Microsoft, Activision, and Blizzard. And Microsoft offering a small divestiture. Grubb, I feel like Microsoft has already entered the latter half of the snowball phase, where they're already comically large, big giant snowball already rolling downhill.
Yes.
I don't think anything is going to stop it at this point.
I think they know that too, which is why they're willing to offer up something like this, because it's
right.
If they do some small offshoot that they no longer have a stake in just in the UK, yeah, that's not going to affect them. And so it really does feel like a bit of a show. We're putting on these appearances for the UK, and I mean a lot of that is what this is. A lot of this stuff is politics. A lot of this stuff is it's definitely what it is in the United States. Not that like that makes it good or bad. I don't hold that position, but I can tell that this is a political position coming from Lena Khan, who has a certain belief about what the FTC should be doing, and so she is looking for every avenue to execute on that vision. And all that stuff is coming from a place of a political belief of like what is the best strategy to accomplish their goals.
It just seems so backhanded to offer a small divestiture of like, oh no, I mean, like, I'm sorry that this deal is probably going to go through, but here's all of this money. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, it's and Microsoft's been, I think, pretty cute and coy and kind of pretty good at handling stuff. This case so far in terms of looking like they are willing to do everything it takes. But I think we are probably getting to the point at the end here where it's like, we'll give you that, and this is going to happen. You should probably just take it. And it's like, okay, that we always knew underneath that's what it was. This is a business, it's a corporation. I think our conversations this entire time, Jan, have been with very soberly minded about that. Like this, we know the end goal here. We know what these companies want, and it's no big surprise when they come through and they actually behave that way. So yeah,
it doesn't help that the opposing side or someone like Jim Ryan is not making the opposing case any stronger.
Yep. That definitely, like, that happened early on where it's like, it was very easy to be like, I don't know, what Microsoft's saying at least makes sense to me. And what Sony's saying sounds like them just saying stuff to again, throw roadblocks on the road. And now we know for a fact that's exactly what happened. And so it was like setting off a lot of people's bullshit alarms. And it's like, still, because something set off your bullshit alarm doesn't mean the original problem that Microsoft might be creating here isn't worth scrutinizing. And of course, it's been scrutinized a lot. It's been scrutinized nonstop for the last 18 months. Okay, let's move on. This is another thing that kind of came out of the FTC hearing is Nintendo is making huge amounts of revenue on software sales compared to Sony and Microsoft and everybody else. This comes from My Nintendo News. Plenty of data and interesting information has come out of the Federal Trade Commission court hearing over the proposed takeover of Activision Blizzard by Microsoft. One of those pieces of information is just how much money console manufacturers and game development studios are making in terms of revenue from software. The data provided for 2021 shows that Nintendo is making far more revenue on first-party video game sales compared to both Sony and Xbox. In 2021, Nintendo made $5.18 billion on software revenue alone, compared to Sony Interactive Entertainment, which made $2.1 billion, and Xbox Game Studios, which made $1.372 billion. It should be noted that Nintendo rarely offers substantial discounts on its first-party games, whereas both Sony and Microsoft discount their games fairly quickly. Also, first-party games on Xbox consoles are included with Xbox Game Pass. Everyone knows the caveats here. Really, this comes down to Nintendo's games sell better. They do.
Yes.
Yeah. And so it's no big surprise, maybe, but like I don't know, maybe twice as much as Sony Interactive's games. I suppose when you look at the numbers, that makes sense, right?
It does. I mean, I'm also racking my brain, and like I think for me personally, it's easier for me to remember all of the first-party Nintendo releases. Also, because there's not a lot of first-party Nintendo releases. Yep. But I also think it's probably more palatable to a wider gaming audience, right? Mario Kart 8 will not stop selling.
Exactly. Yeah.
Every household on our respective neighborhoods, Grubb, probably have at least one Switch.
Right. And like if you do it on average, like almost every house has like one Switch because so many houses have like two or three. Like there's fucking 5 in this house. 2 of them are broken though, everybody. So don't go wild about it.
Still a Switch that got sold.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, I mean, looking at this list, Electronic Arts is actually in second at 4.5 billion, and then Take-Two Interactive in third with 2.352 billion, and then Sony's in fourth there. Activision Blizzard is in fifth at 2.072 billion. Interesting to note that if you combine Xbox and Activision, they are still behind even Electronic Arts, and like not even Nintendo. Now, this is just for software sales, though. Of course.
Sure.
So I don't think this includes microtransactions, subscriptions, and when you start bringing that stuff in, Sony is definitely at the top. Like Sony's far ahead because their services and all that stuff are just making so much money for them. So yeah, Nintendo's.
I'm surprised to not see Capcom on here.
Yes, this is 2021, so you wonder if maybe
okay.
Like it was an off year. I don't know. You know, Bandai Namco is 10th on this list, and Bandai Namco always does surprisingly well. That they're at 980 million in revenue. And again, this is from the FTC. Maybe this data is incomplete. That's always possible too. So yeah. Okay, let's move on to this next story. Sony's reportedly boosting PlayStation's R&D spending to drive its live service push. This comes from Tom, the Machine, Ivan at VGC. Sony reportedly plans to increase research and development spending at its gaming business by about 10% this financial year. According to Nikkei, which is a Japanese news service, Sony Interactive Entertainment's R&D spending during the year ending in March 2024 will total 300 billion yen, which is about $2.17 billion. That will represent around 40% of the group's total R&D spending for the period, surpassing investment in its electronics and semiconductor businesses. The increased R&D spending at PlayStation is being used to help drive the company's push into live service games. Sony reiterated in May that it's planning to have 12 live service games in the market by its fiscal year ending in March 2026, up from 3 during its last business year ended this March. Jen, we could see that Sony's pretty serious about this. This indicates that they are very serious, in my opinion, that they are putting this much R&D. Because you think, we'll just go out and buy Bungie, and they'll just tell everybody what to do, and that's that. And it's like, no, that doesn't necessarily work for every kind of live service game that we're trying. We need to also be researching like what's next, not just like what has worked for Bungie in the past. So they got like this big two-pronged strategy. Maybe there's more prongs. I can't see all of Sony's prongs, but this two-pronged strategy of we'll have Bungie come in and give us the best-in-class, best practices of what works right now, and then let's see if we can figure out what's next. I always wonder, though, if a big company like Sony or Microsoft or even Nintendo or Electronic Arts, any of these big publishers, really have the capacity to build what's next in live service games in a lab, because it's like it does seem like that stuff always bubbles up from independence and from early access stuff. So I don't know, how do you feel about Sony spending a lot of money on figuring out live service games?
I think you said it there, Grubb. It's going to be super duper difficult, because I'm also thinking if they're investing this much money into R&D, that's an obscene amount of money before anything probably will see like the public eye. And then say this is a multi-prong approach. Are they worried at all about any of this cannibalizing any of the other games as a service that they're intending on launching? Are they worried that some of this might eat like any Destiny money, or are they trying to spin out does games as a service, would that also include some type of like social hub, Grubb? Yeah,
I think so. Because I mean, you got to think that that's something that would be free to play and have microtransactions. I think and get constant updates. So yeah,
So I guess like they could launch, like they could keep Destiny. They could launch whatever thing that like a COD replacement, right? They could also launch a battle royale. I mean, and then they could also relaunch and renovate PlayStation Home.
I love how excited you are about the possibility of a PlayStation Home revival.
I've never played the original PlayStation Home. Also,
I don't know if I think I did, but not much. Listen, I'll totally visit your PlayStation Home if they bring it back.
Thank you.
You know what? When you said it right there, like a Call of Duty replacement, like honestly, maybe that's actually what a lot of this money is. Like we need to be we need to figure out, just in case, we need to have a Call of Duty replacement. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what it is.
Right, like I'm sure that they've seen like the signs on the wall of how the Microsoft Activision deal was going to go through, that they had to like, all right, well, we're going to lose the big shooter. Let's figure out a big shooter. What about Killzone? Can we bring back Killzone? Do we still have the IP for Fuse? Let's get Fuse.
Exactly. So it's like, yeah, they're I get that they feel they need to do this, and they're probably right, and they probably will have a couple of successes here. It's just this brute force method does look a bit silly when you look at something like BattleBit, right?
Oh my god! What if they bring back Twisted Metal as a games as a like live game service?
Well, that was one of the early rumors about that. So we don't really know what's going on with the Twisted Metal game. Like we know the show. I think they might have mentioned that they are making a Twisted Metal game. They might have confirmed that publicly. I can't remember. That's just a bad memory, everybody.
Ooh.
But they early on when I was hearing the reporting on this, it is going to be a live service game, free to play, and that was going to be one of these 12 maybe. They switched developers at a certain point, and it seemed like at that point they hadn't decided if they were going to stick with the live service or try something else. I mean, for Twisted Metal, I think that they should look at a video game called Mad Max and make something like that. That open world driving exploration game where combat is clearly going to be a huge part of it. I think that would be the right move for a modern Twisted Metal. And then you have the multiplayer mode in there. Of course you do. And stuff like that. Or have a free to play multiplayer mode that goes alongside with that. And that can have live service elements, but I think the core of what Twisted Metal should be this big adventure game instead. But yeah.
I'm racking my brain, Grubb. To the best of your knowledge, does Sony have like an RPG IP that they own? That isn't tied up with Square or whoever else.
The Legend of Dragoon. That's Sony, right, everybody?
Let's get a Legend of Dragoon MMO.
There you go. That's
all these dragoons.
There, yes. Yes. Everybody's got a dragoon. Sony did have Sony. What I can't remember. Online Entertainment. Yeah, SOE, and that was like they met.
EverQuest.
Did EverQuest and all that stuff, and then they sent Sony Online Entertainment off on its own and spun it off, and now they don't know, they no longer have it. So I don't know how interested they are in an MMO, but things have changed since, like they spin off SOE, and most of that changes. Final Fantasy 14 worked. I suppose they're probably like, we make money off Final Fantasy 14, so let's just let them do their thing. I don't know, but like. The point here is $2.17 billion for 1 year of research and development, primarily spent on figuring out what is a live service game. That means they're going to have to try a whole bunch of different stuff. It can't just be, look like what we've seen recently. It's going to have a bunch of different attempts and a bunch of different bites at the apple. And I think I'm okay with that. I think that a lot of Sony fans, and I don't blame them for feeling like, yes, they keep saying we are going to be spending the same or more on the kinds of games we've already been making. But like when someone says like, hey, I still love you, but I'm also going to be spending $2.17 billion worth of my time with someone else, like you can feel a little bit like, okay, I'm being left out here. You can feel a little bit jaded about what they're saying to you. So Sony's attention is definitely being split here. And we haven't seen any of these efforts really pay off for them yet. And there's no guarantee that they will. And the one guarantee is that most of these projects are going to fail and not be like successful ongoing live service games.
Sure.
In the way that Destiny is. I suppose the question is, like, if a game comes out and runs for 4 or 5 years and then goes away and makes a decent amount of money in that time, is that a success for Sony? I don't know.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't even say that some of these projects will fail. I think some of them, Grubb, may not even see the light of day.
Very good point. Yeah. I mean, God, it feels like we've already, like that Twisted Metal game getting moved around is like one example. Like a version of that's going to come out eventually, but the original, it did not, it's never going to see the light of day. And there's definitely, I mean, God, the Last of Us Factions multiplayer game, right? Well, that might never see the light of day. That one, a lot of money spent on that.
Am I imagining Guerrilla saying something about like a multiplayer Horizon game?
You are not imagining that.
Okay.
You know what? In fact, we have a story about that in a little bit. So let's move on. We can talk a little bit about that because Guerrilla is saying a lot of stuff about Horizon.
Okay,
I'm going to go so far as to say they're saying too much about Horizon.
Guerrilla, calm down here.
Guerrilla, calm down. All right, let's move on here. Shifting gears a little bit before we get back around to that Gorilla story. Limited Run Games held a showcase with a ton of new old games. This comes from My Nintendo News. Today was the day that Limited Run Games held their 2023 showcase. A lot of games were planned to be revealed, along with details on a few that had been already confirmed. Well, that is exactly what happened. For example, it was confirmed that Plumbers Don't Wear Ties Definitive Edition. The pre-orders will begin this year. I've never played that game. I know people really have a soft spot for it because it's like a pretty wild thing, I guess. And that's one of the games that Limited Run Games has previously announced. It was the new reveals, however, that will likely be remembered for this showcase, including Shantae Advance, Risky Revolution, and Castlevania Advance Collection. Shantae Advance is a game that never came out. It works for Game Boy Advance. It's a lost Game Boy Advance game, and now they're actually going to take it and bring it out. For Castlevania Advance Collection, they are putting that out, and they're going to include Dracula X on there, and they're going to have 4 different covers that you could choose from based on Dracula X, Circle of the Moon, Harmony of Dissonance, or Aria of Sorrow. This is coming out for Switch and PS4. I know. I'm like, oh, damn, I think I want all 4. I can't do that, though. Rise of Triad. Here, I'm just going to read through the list. Rise of the Triad Ludicrous Edition. That's Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox, and Steam. Kumajo Remilia Scarlet Symphony. It's coming to Switch. The Making of Karateka.
Yo, Grubb, I'm going to defend you. I thought that as well. I thought that's how it was pronounced.
I think it is actually pronounced that way. Except, I was watching the documentary Karate Kid the other day, and the way that Mr. Miyagi pronounces karate, karateka, it's I think that's probably right, actually. So, and if it's not,
there you go.
If it's not, I don't like. I'm just gonna turn chat off. I can just hit a button here, and you all go away.
Are you saying that Mr. Miyagi was wrong?
Yeah. Are you saying that Mr. Miyagi? That is offensive. He's no longer with us, and you guys have better show some damn respect.
Y'all swept the leg.
Yeah, you swept the leg. Exactly. Let's see. The Kuyoku Tiger Healy collection, Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 Complete Edition. That's coming to Switch. El Shaddai Ascension of the Metatron HD. That's also coming to the Switch. Dungeons of Aether, a Switch game. Chicory, A Colorful Tales, getting a physical edition for Switch, PS4, and PS5. So they should put Game of the Year edition on there, clearly, right, Jan?
Yeah. Put my face on it.
Yep. Odin Cat's Paradise Collection for Switch. Again, Ashante Advanced Risky Revolution. RZ, The Jewel of Faramore. We're going to stop here. This is a new game inspired by the CDI Zelda games. Let me see. I'm going to bring this up. Give me a second here. It looks insane. And John Linneman over at Digital Foundry is working on the game a little bit, which I think is very cool. I like John a lot. Let me see if I can bring up this and show everybody. Yeah, this game, they are just going for exactly that Zelda CDI look. So for audio listeners, there's an introduction here, like a splash screen that looks like a old CD-ROM splash screen.
Disgusting logo.
Yes, exactly. And then here's the characters, and it's just super pixelated line drawings. If you've seen Zelda CDI, any of those 3 games, this will look familiar. But apparently it plays really good, really well. And I'm like, okay, I'm actually excited to get my hands on this. Yes, they went for it, and it's perfect. It's really good stuff.
This looks okay. I just don't like seeing any of the character portraits.
It's totally repulsive in a way that I find very hard to look away from. And I'm glad that they go. Oh my god, that horse, man. Okay. Let's see. Nightmare in This Way Madness Lies, Switch and PS5. Midnight Fight Express is getting a Switch and PS4 physical release. Colossal Cave is going to Switch, PS4, PS5, and Steam. Another Crusade, Switch, PS5, and Xbox. Gargoyles Remastered is going to Switch, PS4, PS5, and Xbox. Rose and Camellia, that's a collection, going to Switch. Double Shake is on PS4, PS5, and Switch. Jurassic Park Classic Games Collection is Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox, and Steam, and that has a pretty good list of games on there. Clock Tower is going to Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox, and Steam. Tomba. Here we go. The cult classic Tomba to be released on modern platforms. This comes from Haley Williams at GameSpot. Limited Run Games is bringing back a certain pink-haired wild child back to modern platforms with the re-release of cult favorite PlayStation title Tomba. The fun and colorful platformer will be re-released on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch, and PC, thanks to Limited Run Games' Carbon Engine. Carbon Engine is like their tool that they provide developers to do modern ports of classic games. I suppose it sounds like, I haven't looked into it too much. It sounds like it is like this tool that just has a bunch of different emulators ready to go, waiting for you to like insert your ROM, and then it can like do some special stuff on top of that to make sure it runs really well. Are you a Tomba head? I can't remember.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Let's fucking go. Let's go.
I absolutely love and adore Tomba. This is my Legend of Zelda. This is my Legend of Zelda, Grubb. It's in a world where everyone was like, "Oh, we gotta go find the princess, assemble the Triforce." Little me was over there with this wild child, this pink-haired boy jumping on pigs.
Yeah, look at him. He's going ham. And yeah.
The Zelda games are such a hidden gem, a guilty treasure of sorts for me. If you want to go look back and the beloved series that Danny O'Dwyer helped us make, Tomba is so cool because it was the weirdest freaking game I ever played as a child, and I absolutely love it still. It's like a platformer. It's an RPG. You're exploring the world. This game was terrifying as a kid because I was like, wait, I can go that way too?
Mm-hmm.
I gotta go all the way back here? Oh, shit. Also, I still hate the the minecart level in the second one. And I hope this means that we will also eventually get Tomba 2, because Tomba 2 is like one of my top 50 games of all time. I'd say top 25 even.
Damn, okay. I've never played Tomba as at the time. I was a little shitty Nintendo fanboy, but I remember seeing the ads in the magazines, seeing the reviews, seeing people talk about it online, and being very jealous and always wanting to try out Tomba. And so I'm not even going to wait, because I don't want to wait for this release. I'm going to play this game like right away. I'm going to get on my Steam Deck and just go.
Santa is a character in these games.
Okay, well, count me in. I'm going. I'm going to play. I think this would be a fun. Would it be a fun one for me to play and have the kids watch? Like, it seems like very fun for kids.
You know, I think it'd be good for the kids because it'd be an interesting introduction to like a lot of random game mechanics, and like, you know, they've been playing Tears of the Kingdom,
all kinds of stuff. Yes.
They've been playing like Super Mario 3D World, but like they'll see that it starts as a 2D plane, but then you can move like on a Z axis. It's great. Also, I think despite the pigs being your enemies, they will love the pigs.
I love the pigs. They're everything in this game super cute, super awesome style. Yes, so that's happening.
Your best friend's a monkey.
Okay, well, I've always wanted that in my life. So let me just cut back here real quick. This is Tomba coming to the Carbon engine. Don't think we have many details beyond like when that's going to happen. I think maybe next year is what it sounds like. But hey, I will hop on this immediately. That is very fun.
Oh God, yeah. It's a very fun game. It's a very fun game. I love it so much.
That's not the last announcement. Here is GEX is back for some reason. This comes from Haley Williams at GameSpot. Of all the games that could have been announced for a remake this year, Crystal Dynamics' 1995 game about a wisecracking, TV-obsessed gecko, GEX, was not high on my list, but thanks to limited run games and its carbon engine technology, that's exactly what we're getting. The GEX trilogy will collect 1995's GEX, 98's GEX Enter the Gecko, 99's GEX 3 Deep Cover Gecko, to be released on PC, Nintendo Switch, PS5, PS4, and Xbox Series X and S. Limited Run Games hasn't yet announced a release window for the remake. Jana, are you ready to GEX it out? You ready to have some GEX?
I was always scared of GEX. I
don't blame you. He seems...
even as a child, it felt like there were too many games. Too many GEX games. Like, I remember strolling through the Toys R Us game aisle, and I'm like, oh, there's too many of these lizards. I'm gonna go with this kinder reptile and go with Croc instead.
There you go. Man, I haven't played Croc in forever, and I was like just the other day having the urge to play Croc. Like, that was one of the really good 3D platformers on PlayStation. Yeah, so, like, you're right. Like, GEX in 95, and then they do 98, 99. They have a GEX 2, GEX 3, and then there was GEX 3D, right? I stopped paying attention to GEX at a certain point.
We all did.
Yeah, I think we all did.
As a nation, we all healed.
Yes, we all let him escape our memories, and we're all better off for it. So, Yeah, I'll tell you what. Overall, though, that limited run games showcase, I am sad I didn't watch it live because I would have been very excited about a lot of this. They are doing very good work over there.
Yeah, that's a lot of cool stuff. Man, Grubb, I'm telling you, there are dozens of Tomba freaks out there.
I'm ready to meet every single one of them.
There are dozens of us that have wished at every PlayStation.
Those Gex games are good. Gex games are good. Haters are gonna hate. Dan can't kick me out. I'll kick myself out. Bye.
There you have it from my best friend, the monkey. Gex is good. You heard it here first. Okay, listen, I never really played much Gex. I think I rented it a couple times, and I did not hate it. There was definitely some of those like character platformers at the time I would rent and be like, this is not good. I don't remember Gex like being that. I think it was mostly fine.
Yeah, I don't remember Gex that much. So you know what, Telkoto? You know what, Mitch? I believe in you.
Yes, I believe you too. All right, we got the last run of stories here. Let's get to these. The Last of Us has received 24 Emmy nominations. This comes from Tom Ivan at VGC. That's just 3 short of the frontrunner for this year's ceremony, fellow HBO show Succession, which was up for 27 awards for its 4th and final season, having previously won 13 Emmys. The Last of Us comes in ahead of The White Lotus, which received 23 nominations, and Ted Lasso, which is up for 21 nominations. Nominations for The Last of Us include Outstanding Drama Series, Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series for Pedro Pascal as Joel, Outstanding Lead Actress in a Drama Series, Bella Ramsey as Ellie. Among the nominations it received in the Outstanding Guest Outstanding Guest Actor in a Drama Series category, where Murray Bartlett as Frank and Nick Offerman as Bill in the well-received 3rd episode of season 1. Yeah, so they both got nominations. The Emmy Awards is scheduled to take place on September 18th, 2023. I think it's a little surprising that it's that like nominated. I remember people really liking the show. I haven't watched a single second of it, Jan. I was kind of like putting my finger to the wind and listening to what people were thinking, though, because I was curious. And it seemed like it started off super hot and heavy. I think people really did like the Frank and Bill episode. And it was like, and I think that probably was the highlight. And then it seemed to cool off after that near the end of the season. But maybe that was just because the beginning of the season, people were so into it. And by the end, they're like, yeah, that was really, really good. And that felt like a cool off or something. I don't know. Did you ever watch this show?
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a bunch, but that's probably because I'm a Pedro Pascal mark. I thought it was good. I didn't have any problems with it. Yeah, Colonel Sanders 21, you're right. The end of the season did feel a little rushed. But I think everyone involved knocked it out of the park with their performances. And I think like it's always, The Last of Us is always such a weird story to approach because Joel's a psychopath. And then he's kind of inadvertently and purposely raising a psychopath. And my biggest problem with post-apocalyptic shows, Grubb, is that there's never any solution. There's not going to be any type of fix to any of this. Like Walking Dead, they're never going to fix everything, even if there is a cure. It's not going to be like the beautiful Brad Pitt in World War Z, right? And I think, but I think for a lot of folks, their exposure to The Last of Us, I think it was neat to see a lot of folks just want to continue living in the world of The Last of Us for some reason, and like, no, I want to be sadder. I want to be even sadder. Let's go get the game.
It's that's the genre, right? It's like Mike always says it, miserable people in their miserable problems, and like that's what we're exploring when we're exploring like zombie fiction and apocalyptic fiction. It's like, yeah, this is we're trying to show an extreme version of what you're going through right now, because I think a lot of people feel like, hey, everything's a mess, and so yeah, that's what the whole thing is. So you're right, they can't fix it because that would be antithetical to what they're trying to do. So yeah, I feel that. The trailers I saw and like the promos I saw, the show looks really well made, and I love Craig Mazin. Boy, I love Chernobyl, and I watched it 3 times all the way through. That's how much I love Chernobyl. Yes, it's that I'm that sick. So there's nothing really stopped me from watching The Last of Us other than I was waiting for it to be over, and then the last couple episodes, it was like that was the major criticism, and I think it was of it being rushed, and I think I was just like, oh, that was enough to just skip it for now. But maybe I'll get around to watching it. We'll
Yeah,
see.
and I mean, like, is it surprising everyone that like a show with Craig Mazin behind it and like the team behind Chernobyl behind it is going to clean up during the Emmys?
Yep.
Grubb, I know that the Emmys, for whatever reason, aren't as prestigious as the Oscars, but I wind up enjoying the Emmys more because it feels like more like a knife fight.
Yeah, more like everyone, like especially because when you have big movie actors decide they're like, all right, I'm gonna go do my TV era, and I'm gonna go, I'm gonna bring my acting chops to TV and fuck these other actors up, and it's like you can like feel that happening. We're like, I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna be the big boy in a small pond. So yeah, there's that energy in there. I like it.
Yeah, and also, like, you know, I don't mean to poo-poo on some movies, but, like, a lot of movies wind up being Oscar bait that no one ever sees. Like, the general public will never see. But, like, a lot of folks watch The Last of Us. A lot of folks watch Succession, Ted Lasso, Andor even. I think it's a shame that Diego Luna did not get. He got snubbed.
Yep. It's horseshit. I don't like thinking about it because it just makes me upset. Because it's just like, oh yeah, these people don't get it, and that's whatever. I'm like, they gave me the show. What else do I need? I don't need to go out there and win awards. Just keep giving me Andor. All right, let's hit these last two stories. The Last of Us has received 20. Or I'm sorry, the Gorilla has 16 Horizon plans in the works. 16 Horizon things. No. 16. This is from Alex Hopley at Game Reactor. Gorilla has confirmed it has huge plans for the Horizon franchise and is working on 16 of those things within the franchise right now, either directly or with another studio. Not all of these plans are going to turn into new games or new releases, as Guerrilla Games studio director Jan Bart Van Beek confirmed to Games Radar, but a good chunk of them are indeed new games and new releases. There's the Horizon multiplayer game, for example, alongside a direct continuation of Aloy's story. Of course, outside of video games, there's also the Horizon TV show, which is set to be produced by Netflix. While 16 different plans for the franchise are in the works, and that might sound like a lot, Horizon has already proven itself to be a major success, and Sony is clearly waiting for it to be a big part of its future. That's too many.
Okay, so folks have pointed out they did release a Lego set that maybe they're going to release another Lego set. That's one of the 16, right?
Maybe. Yeah. Like, is each individual like merchandising opportunity one of these plans? If that's the case, then all right, fine. Then 16 is actually not enough because, like, you know, that's going to include T-shirts and stuff. But I mean, they're probably talking about big projects and stuff. Almost certainly.
Oh man,
I get that when I look at Horizon, I am supposed to see a major franchise that is majorly successful and beloved. But when I look at it, I'm mostly like, that's another video game, yeah, and it's a video game that many people enjoy, but it's not that much different or better on another tier than most video games. And so I'm just a little bit left out of that party, and that's fine. But I just think it's weird. That's all.
Yeah, you know, all joking aside about the look of Horizon and everything, it's just similar to like Red Dead Redemption 2. It is just like a series that felt impenetrable to me, that I just could not click with. But hey, it is incredibly apparent that a lot of people click with it, Grubb, especially enough to warrant a TV series and 16 other ideas. It's not the horse that I'd bet on, but hey, it's working.
Yep.
I guess. Okay. Yes, I'm a cowboy guy. I don't think of Horizon as a cowboy-esque or adjacent game.
No. What is it? I mean, I guess it's, you know, it's doing the
vague, like you're
like samurai cowboy.
Oh, okay. They're talking about Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm stupid. I'm stupid.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
I'm sorry, Tommy Dingo.
Aloy as a cowgirl would be fun, though. I'd play that game if she was
I was
wearing
like,
a cowgirl
you know,
hat.
maybe if Aloy had a cowboy hat, I would have been into it.
Yes, I would be into it. All right, last story here. Jamie Lee Curtis says the Borderlands movie is, quote, pretty wacky. This comes from Eddie McCoo at GameSpot. Jamie Lee Curtis plays Tannis in the upcoming Borderlands movie, and the actress has now shared some information about the movie that finished filming in 2021 and still isn't released. Speaking to Entertainment Weekly, Curtis said the movie is, quote, a little over the top. She added that it's pretty wacky and fun. As for her character, Tanis, Curtis said she has autism. She's a strange woman who has objectum sexuality, where she falls in love with inanimate objects. Man, fucking Randy Pitchford. God fucking damn it. Curtis went on to say that Tanis and Kate Blanchett's character Lilith are connected because Tanis knew Lilith's mother, which is why I'm in the movie. I am the connection back to Kate's early past. What is this movie, Jan? What is it? And why? More importantly, why is it?
Oh no, Grubb. That's just one character in this movie. And
Exactly.
There's like a million of them. Is Jamie Lee Curtis gonna fall in love with Claptrap?
Yeah, almost certainly. There's going to be a graphic sex scene with Claptrap.
Are they gonna make Jamie Lee Curtis bang Claptrap?
I mean, if Steam Filmmaker hasn't already made that happen, then yes, absolutely.
Boy.
It's hard for me to read anything from something like this and not like view it through the prism of Randy Pitchford, of being like, of just imagining Randy Pitchford giving notes on the set and be like, what if she fucked things? Like, not people, but things. Wouldn't that be weird? It's like, oh my God, Randy Pitchford, stop. That's Kate Blanchett. She's right there.
Oh
look how elegant she is. Why are you being Randy Pitchford right now?
This filmed what, in 2021, right?
Yes,
like
finished filming in
wrapped
2021.
Oh man, oh God. Okay, thank God, because if this came out and then Randy Pitchford was like, well, Jamie Lee Curtis is going to get you another Oscar, or like Kate Blanchett, I don't know how he sounds, so this is my imitation
This
of Randy
is great,
Pitchford.
Randy.
Kate, I know you didn't get the Oscar for Tar, but this Borderlands is going to get you the best actress for Tar, or instead of Tar.
There it is. That's probably how he sold it. I would believe it.
Oh my God.
All
I can't imagine him on set, Grubb.
I know. I mean, we saw that little video of him on set, and it was really hard for me to watch. Just him barging in, not caring, with a microphone and a camera, and just bothering people who are trying to do their jobs. Very fun.
I imagine him like adjusting a light and then it falling, and then he was like, card trick.
Yeah. Exactly. And he's just like throws 52 cards at your face and walks away. Yeah. Okay. We got the poll from yesterday. What would you spend more on a remaster if it came with robust special features similar to Atari 50? 77% said yes, that's what I want, and 23% said no, just give me the game. And I think that we are now in a time where bringing these games back should come with the kinds of efforts that Digital Clips is providing for these games, which is a lot of video features, taking snippets of prototypes, putting them in the game, and putting them in context. I love that stuff. Atari 50 is amazing. I'm glad that most people seem to think that this is something that can work, especially for something like Karateka that is going to have it's just one game, but if they can go deep on it, I would love to get that history and that story.
I mean, after playing Final Fantasy 16, and I know it's not a remake of anything, but that Amazon Prime Video-esque feature during any of the cutscenes where you hold down the touchpad and it'll give you the context of like, all right, this character is this person, this character is that person, this is the location, just in case you get too lost in the sauce. Anything like that, especially for like old RPGs, would be great. Even Final Fantasy Theater Rhythm does a good job at like the kind of history and the context of a lot of stuff, which is neat.
Yeah. Kately in Marie in chat says, put active time lore in everything, and maybe that is really the answer. Just let me hit one button at any time, and it comes up and has two tabs, and one tab is here's what's happening in the game, and then the other tab is here's what's happened in development related to the stuff you're seeing on screen right now. Oh
man, yeah.
And boy, that would just be wow. That'd be good eating for me.
Yeah, I would love that in every game, right? Like,
yeah, just going for it. It should be like a kind of a common, like kind of base level thing that most, like at a time when like, or like going back to the time when like every DVD just had great special features. Like we don't get as many anymore. Still, many of them do have some,
right?
But it's like, man, what if video games could have that era where it's just like 10 years of every developer thinking like they have to include special features. It's probably not going to happen, but I would really, really love that.
Yeah, like maybe like a re-release or like a collection down the line. Like I feel like playing through Halo with kind of director's commentary, or like knowing the situational context of like, okay, well, why did you put the skull here? Like, how many QA testers like ran over here looking for skulls or whatever? Shit like that. I love
Battle for Naboo, the Jedi Starfighter game or whatever it was for N64, had full developer commentary on the levels.
Wow.
And it's like on an N64 cartridge. And it's like, man, that was just space. But it's Factor 5, and they were like technical wizards, and like, we can do this. We can like compress audio down so much it could fit on a cartridge. So we're gonna do it. It's like you're wild. You're all wild. All right. We got a new poll question for tomorrow. Gex is back, and then you got to say "oh no" or "oh yes." Those are your two options, everybody.
Oh no.
We got Jan's vote right there. So we'll talk about that on the show tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that here on Giant Bomb. Speaking of Giant Bomb, today I think we've decided at 1 p.m. It seems like that's going to be the time at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Blight Club will continue, and I think it's going to be a real Blight Club. The new season's kicking off. Tell your friends. Jeff Grubb's going to have to play a bad game selected by Dan Reichert and Mike Minotti. I'm not looking forward to it, but here we are. We're kicking it off in earnest. So tune in for that. That'll happen. Oh my God, what are you singing? Is this a hint?
What?
This is a hint?
Oh no, I haven't been able to stop thinking of Wonka.
Oh sure. Oh, well, hey, it could still be Wonka. I seriously have no idea what the game is. And then tomorrow we'll do UPF. We'll do another Game S Mornings in the morning, of course. Anything else happening, Jan?
No, just Blight Club and Dump Truck, and then Game S tomorrow as well as UPF.
Sounds good. Yes. So in 1 hour, that's right. If you're watching live, if you're watching later, it'll be up on the site, the Blight Club. So tune in for all that stuff. All right, Jan, thank you so much for spending today talking with me about video games, man. You know how I appreciate it.
I'm going to go back to sleep.
Fucking A. All right, everybody. Until next time, you're the best audience in gaming. Until then, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.